Hello and welcome to another episode of Current Affairs MCQ. Let's begin with the previous day's question. Regarding the Special Economic Zone, consider the following statements. 1. The Baba Kalyani-led committee was constituted by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry to study the SEZ policy of India. 2. Asia's first export processing zone was set up in Kandla, Gujarat in 1965. 3. SEZs in India have their own rules and Indian laws do not apply to them. How many of the statements given above is or are not correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The correct answer is option A. Special Economic Zone is a geographical region that has economic laws that are more liberal than a country's domestic economic laws. The Baba Kalyani-led committee was constituted by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry to study the existing SEZ policy of India and had submitted its recommendations in November 2018. Hence, statement 1 is correct. India was one of the first in Asia to recognize the effectiveness of the export processing model in promoting exports, with Asia's first EPZ set up in Kandla, Gujarat in 1965. Hence, statement 2 is correct. All laws of India are applicable in SEZs unless specifically exempted as per the SEZ Act or rules. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer.
Drishti IAS in Noida is offering an IAS GS foundation, prelims plus mains, course in both English and Hindi mediums. The course is available in an offline batch format. Admissions are open for both the English and Hindi medium courses. The location of the center is C171/2, Block A, Sector 15, Noida, near Metro Station, Noida, Sector 15. For more details or inquiries, you can contact at 8750187501.
Moving on to the first question, with reference to Aravali Green Wall project, consider the following statements. The project aims to reforest 700 kilometers of Aravali mountain range across Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat. 2. It is modelled after Africa's Great Green Wall project, which is focused on regenerating the Sahel region. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option C. The Aravali Green Wall project is a large-scale afforestation initiative that spans approximately 700 kilometers of the Aravali range, covering 29 districts in Delhi, Haryana, Rajasthan and Gujarat. Hence, statement 1 is correct. The goal is to restore degraded land and improve ecological health through tree plantation and green corridor development. The project draws inspiration from Africa's Great Green Wall, which aims to combat desertification in the Sahel region. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Similarly, the Aravali Green Wall seeks to address land degradation and desertification in India by creating a continuous green belt. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Question 2. Regarding the population census, consider the following statements. 1. The 2027 census will be the first census to include caste data for the first time since independence. 2. The first synchronous census in India was conducted in 1881. 3. The census is conducted under the Office of the Registrar General, which operates under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 and 2 only. B. 1 and 3 only. C. 3 only. D. 1, 2 and 3. The correct answer is option A. Population census. The 2027 census will be the first to include a nationwide caste enumeration since 1931. Hence, statement 1 is correct. While scheduled castes and scheduled tribes have been counted in previous censuses, this will be the first time all caste groups will be recorded post-independence. The first synchronous census in India was held in 1881 under Census Commissioner W.C. Plowden. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Since then, it has been conducted every 10 years, providing a continuous and comprehensive demographic record. The census is conducted under the Office of the Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India, which operates under the Ministry of Home Affairs. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Question 3. With reference to cybersecurity, consider the following statements. 1. The National Cybersecurity Coordinator is responsible for coordinating cybersecurity efforts among different agencies in India. 2. The Cyber Swachhata Kendra is a service provided by CERT in that helps citizens remove malware and detect malicious programs. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option C. The National Cybersecurity Coordinator operates under the National Security Council Secretariat. It is responsible for coordinating cybersecurity efforts across various government agencies, ensuring a unified national response to cyber threats. Hence, statement 1 is correct. The Cyber Swachhata Kendra or Botnet Cleaning and Malware Analysis Center is operated by the Computer Emergency Response Team CERT in under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. It provides free tools and services to help users detect and remove malware, especially botnet infections, from their systems. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Question 4. Consider the following statements. 1. The Securities and Exchange Board of India was initially established as a non-statutory body in 1988 and became a statutory body under the SEBI Act 1992. 2. Niveshak Shivir is a SEBI initiative aimed at simplifying the process of reclaiming unclaimed dividends and shares. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option C. The Securities and Exchange Board of India was initially established in 1988 as a non-statutory body. It became a statutory body in 1992 through the enactment of the SEBI Act 1992. Hence, statement 1 is correct. SEBI, in collaboration with the Investor Education and Protection Fund Authority, launched Niveshak Shivir to raise awareness and simplify the reclaim process for unclaimed shares and dividends. Hence, statement 2 is correct. This initiative is part of broader investment education and protection efforts. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Question 5. Which of the following is not a valid ground for restricting the right to freedom of speech and expression under Article 19, Clause 2 of the Indian Constitution? 1. Defamation. 2. Protection of scheduled tribes. 3. Maintaining friendly relations with foreign states. 4. Contempt of court. Select the correct answer using the code given below. A. 4 only. B. 2 only. C. 1 and 4 only. D. 1, 2 and 3. The correct answer is B. Restrictions on the freedom of speech and expression. Defamation is explicitly mentioned in Article 19, Clause 2 as a valid ground for restricting freedom of speech. Protection of scheduled tribes is not listed as a ground under Article 19, Clause 2. While the state may enact laws for their welfare under other provisions, it is not a direct ground for restricting speech. Article 19, which guarantees freedom of speech and expression, was amended to allow reasonable restrictions on these rights in the interest of public order, friendly relations with foreign states, and incitement to an offense. This was added by the First Amendment Act 1951 and is a valid ground under Article 19, Clause 2. Contempt of court is explicitly mentioned in Article 19, Clause 2 as a ground for reasonable restrictions. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Question 6. Regarding the Samarth scheme, consider the following statements. 1. It is a flagship skill development scheme of the Ministry of Textiles. 2. The scheme provides support only for the spinning and weaving sectors. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option A. Samarth, Scheme for Capacity Building in Textile Sector, is a flagship skill development scheme of the Ministry of Textiles. Hence, statement 1 is correct. The scheme aims to encourage and support the industry in creating jobs in the organized textile and related sectors, covering the entire value chain of textiles, excluding spinning and weaving. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Question 7. With reference to the National Legal Services Authority or NALSA, consider the following statements. 1. It aims to provide free and competent legal services to the weaker sections of society, ensuring equal opportunities. 2. It issues guidelines to District Legal Services Authorities or DLSAs for implementing legal programs and schemes across the country. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option C. National Legal Services Authority was constituted under the Legal Services Authorities Act 1987 to ensure that justice is not denied to any citizen due to economic or other disabilities. Its core mission is to provide free and competent legal services to the weaker sections of society, including women, children, SC/STs, industrial workmen, victims of trafficking, and others. Hence, statement 1 is correct. NALSA is the central coordinating authority and is responsible for issuing guidelines, monitoring and evaluating the performance of state legal services authorities, district legal services authorities, and Taluka legal services committees. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Question 8. Which of the following indicators are included in the key employment-unemployment indicators of the Periodic Labour Force Survey? 1. Labour force participation rate. 2. Worker population ratio. 3. Unemployment rate. 4. Gender wage gap. Select the correct answer using the code given below. A. 1, 2 and 3 only. B. 1, 3 and 4 only. C. 1 and 2 only. D. All of the above. The correct answer is option A. The Periodic Labour Force Survey is conducted by the National Sample Survey Office under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. It provides key indicators to assess employment and unemployment situation in India. The key employment-unemployment indicators included in PLFS are 1. Labour force participation rate, the percentage of people in the working age population 15 years and above who are either employed or actively seeking employment. 2. Worker population ratio, the proportion of the worker age population that is actually employed. It indicates the employment level in population. 3. Unemployment rate, the percentage of people in the labor force who are unemployed and actively seeking work. Gender wage gap, it is not included as a key indicator in PLFS. While PLFS provides gender disaggregated data on employment and wages, it does not directly report the gender wage gap as a headline indicator. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Question 9. With reference to Birsa Munda, consider the following statements. 1. He led the Ulgulan movement with the aim of establishing a self-governed tribal state known as Birsa Raj. 2. Birsa Munda's movement resulted in the Chota Nagpur Tenancy Act of 1908, which recognized tribal land rights and abolished forced labor. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option C. Birsa Munda was a tribal leader, religious reformer, and freedom fighter who led a strong resistance against British colonial policies in the Chota Nagpur region. Also known as Dharti Abba or Father of the Earth, he is remembered for mobilizing Adivasi communities around land rights, social reform, and spiritual unity. In 1899, he launched the Ulgulan or the Great Tumult Movement, which included guerrilla warfare tactics to restrict British authority and promote the establishment of a self-governed tribal state known as Birsa Raj. Hence, statement 1 is correct. His movement led to the Chota Nagpur Tenancy Act of 1908, which recognized tribal land rights, Khunkatti, banned land transfer to non-tribals, and abolished Beth Bigari or forced labor. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Question 10. The Chenab River originates near which of the following mountain passes? A. Rohtang Pass, B. Baralacha Pass, C. Zojila, D. Nathula. The correct answer is option B. The Chenab River originates near the Baralacha Pass in the Lahaul-Spiti part of the Zaskar range in Himachal Pradesh. The river Chenab or Chandrabhaga is formed after the two streams Chandra and Bhaga merge with each other at Tandi in Himachal Pradesh. Chenab is the largest tributary of the Indus River. In India, the watershed of Chenab Basin covers part of Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir. Hence, option B is the correct answer. Now let's look at a practice question. Consider the following statements regarding red dwarfs. 1. They are the smallest and coolest stars in the universe. 2. They have a much longer lifespan, shining for trillions of years. 3. Proxima Centauri, the farthest star to the Sun, is a red dwarf. Which of the statements given above are correct? A. 1 and 2 only. B. 2 and 3 only. C. 1 and 3 only. D. 1, 2 and 3. Provide your answers in the comment section.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.